All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We'll give everyone just a second to join in. Welcome, welcome. Hello, everyone. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So today you're going to be hearing from the telephone town hall meeting team on Medicare Advantage member engagement, trusted outreach, and eliminating barriers. Before I turn it over to our presenter today, I do just want to mention a few housekeeping items. So you will notice for the duration of the webinar that your camera and mics are going to be off for your privacy. But if you do have any questions, we just ask that you please submit those in the Q&A box down at the bottom of your screen by simply clicking on that, and then you can submit them there. If there's any questions that the team can't get to today during the webinar, don't worry, they'll reach out and follow up with you directly afterwards. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ian.
All right, thank you so much, Bailey. Appreciate you, and hello, everyone. Indeed, my name is Ian. I've worked in public outreach for the last 20 years across a number of different markets, and in the last 10 years, we've brought some of our virtual outreach tools to the healthcare market specifically, and it's given me an opportunity to understand the challenges that plan providers face. It's really also helped our team of moderators and operators develop some really unique models for virtual forums that help connect plans to members and members to benefits. So as I go through my presentation, feel free to submit questions using that Q&A feature, as Bailey said. We have Sean Thompson with Teletown Hall here to answer any nuts and bolts questions about the technology itself and about regulatory compliance, if you have any compliance issues about, for instance, texting. At the end of this presentation, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about how we apply our direct dial virtual forums and branded text message services to the Medicare Advantage market specifically. Now, we're going to start out with app use by older adults. It's largely based on income, as you can see by this poll that I'm sharing, but seniors are approaching universal smartphone ownership. And so household income is going to, by large, define that gap in use. Bridging that gap between owning the device and using it to access apps is all about communication and education and trust, which I'm going to use that word a lot today. Using a branded multimedia text message that stands out against the kind of simple SMS, spam, scam, and sales texts is a really great way to deliver a trustworthy download link for an app. I'll show an example of a multimedia text later in this presentation that does exactly that. And I will flag here that there is a proven correlation between positive plan ratings for members and successful connection to member portals, apps, and telehealth options. Now, supplemental benefit use is something we often focus on in our forums because supplemental benefits obviously differentiate plans, and finding the niche benefits that retain individual members requires education. Everything from plan ratings to health outcomes to retention is largely dependent on how much members take advantage of the health benefits available to them. And our virtual forums are a really good venue we've found for educating large groups of members about what benefits are available, how to access them, and why they're important. You can see this 2024 study that I'm featuring here that shows how often members leave supplemental benefits untapped. Highlighting those benefits and the path to access them can dramatically increase use. And again, finding the benefits that are really going to hook members to your plan is crucial for long-term retention. Next up here, I'm going to talk about enabling care, something else we like to focus on during our forums, because of course the plans that are the most successful are the ones that members view as a trusted resource for connecting with care. Explaining the resources available to members is the first step toward establishing trust and encouraging positive health outcomes. Members respond very well to proactive outreach. We like to clearly describe a path for success. Waiting for members to read materials independently, whether they be mailed or online or in an app, or to reach out to support teams can often lead to frustration. And we like to try and head that off with proactive outreach. Some members need little or no assistance to connecting to care. In fact, about a third of members really do need that support. But the members that do need help with connecting to care do also often struggle the most to find the assistance that they need. So becoming a trusted resource for those high need members is a path to long-term membership. Expectations, plan member expectations, and trust is really what I've been researching a lot to kind of support our clients this year. Most Medicare Advantage members have seen plan changes in the last couple of years, and we're finding that explaining those changes, explaining why they happen, how they happen, and emphasizing the available benefits heads off that loss of trust. You can see here that I'm highlighting the ongoing decline in member satisfaction that is tied to a decline in trust scores. And it's also related to a lack of understanding of why these changes are taking place in the Medicare landscape. Direct, open communication that gets members up to speed, that allows them to express their frustration, and that answers specific questions makes you a trusted resource. So again, casting a wide net through mass outreach allows you to find those members that are unsatisfied, provide them with planned answers to tough questions. We do that in our virtual forums. We really like to highlight content experts from clients so that we can explain what's happening and explain again what benefits are still available to them and how to access them. Here I'm highlighting the importance of onboarding, of course, really crucial because new members struggle the most with their plans, whether they're new to Medicare or they're simply new to your plan. So getting members from year 1 to year 2 and beyond is about successful onboarding and developing that trust from the start. Large-scale virtual forums are how we help highlight pain points experienced by members, again, casting a wide net. And then addressing those issues early saves your support and retention teams headaches later because we've headed them off again with proactive outreach through calls and texts. And during our live forums, we also develop follow-up protocols for high-need members that need one-on-one support. Our goal is always going to be broad education wherever possible, and then individual support when it's necessary. And you can see I've highlighted some specific take from a J.D. Power Medicare Advantage member survey from 2025 from August, and that dramatic change from the 65% overall highly satisfied rating from members compared to this 38% with first year members. A really dramatic shift in how they view their plans. And so again, getting them from first year to second year and then being long-term members where they're engaged with your plan, they understand everything, obviously crucial. Now, where we find we come in and really support Medicare Advantage plans well is starting with branding. Trust starts with standing out from the avalanche of calls and texts that seniors receive daily. That means using your branding whenever possible, not the branding of a vendor. Telecoms has been plagued with obviously spam and scam calls for years, but there are now mechanisms for authenticating your outreach. That's proper registration and aggressive outreach to mobile carriers so that we can make sure that we're successfully delivering branded messaging by call or text, that the carriers trust it, that the members that receive it trust it, and that again, it's showing up with your name. We've heard from beneficiaries who receive 50 calls and texts a day during peak periods of outreach. And in many cases, they're receiving 3 or more calls daily from plan vendors hired to deliver a survey or to encourage a screening. And we really believe that these vendors are trying to stand out in the wrong way by simply overwhelming all the other calls that these members are getting through sheer volume and calling and saying, well, they'll trust us eventually. We prefer outreach that's well planned, that carries client branding, and that way, when we do reach out, it's trusted on the first try and more trusted over time, not less and less trusted because it's just being delivered over and over again. And so now I'm going to get into the tools that we use. We use what's called teletown halls. These are forums where we call them direct dial forums. No tech barriers because we just do an outbound dial to your target audience. Often we'll divvy up that audience based on, like benefits so that we can describe the benefits that are available and how to access them very specifically. We always provide a moderator. We always provide operators to engage members, and we always train our operators to engage specifically your members and have the information that they need. These are the large-scale forums where we're trying to help members understand plan benefits, how to understand processes for accessing care, how to connect again to underused benefits, supplemental benefits and services, how to get comfortable using apps, how to get comfortable getting into the member portal and navigating around, how to schedule checkups, when to schedule preventative care appointments, and how to elevate ongoing issues in a proactive format. And I've shared some sample statistics from a 26,392 outbound dial event. We're seeing about 11% accepted that call, and 40% of those who accepted listened for 5+ minutes. As we get later into the call, we're talking to the members who need the most support, and we're getting into really niche Q&A where we're diving into the support that members are not finding anywhere else. You can see we've got a 13+ minute average listening time, and we typically get 65+ submitted questions during a given event. We can also transfer members to support if needed. We typically save that for the end of the call because in the beginning of the call, we're really just trying to do broad answers. We're trying to support members through this forum as opposed to having them all transfer to support. We want to do it through this vehicle, and then those that really do need support at the very end are getting it there. I've described a lot of the reasons that we do this, but we do have a bit of a cycle for the members that use these tools. Reviewing plan benefits early, quarter one, onboarding, encouraging health outcomes in quarters 2 and 3, talking about accessing preventative care, taking care of regularly scheduled appointments and a cadence throughout the year of doing that. And then previewing changes and with renewing members in Q4 and going through AEP and really getting into that annual notice of change document, describing what's going to change so that there are no surprises when we get back to Q1. We like to address common issues. We like to flag members for follow-up so that when your support team receives our reporting, they know exactly what members need to be reached out about. They've got notes from our operator so that they're reaching out again. We've proactively reached out. We've proactively flagged you for follow-up, and now your support team's getting involved and knowing exactly what they need to do to support this member that wasn't able to get what they needed through the virtual forum that we've held. It's all about engagement for us. There are a lot of tools, and if anybody's interested in a demo, we'll run a poll in a little bit here where you can let us know if you want a one-on-one demo of our platform. I'm not going to showcase it here. There's a lot of nuts and bolts, and there's a lot of ways we can go based on what you're trying to accomplish, but I'm happy to do that on your timeline. We always use a branded caller ID. That's, again, starts with that registration process, registering your phone number, making sure that all the carriers know that this is you and know that we're going to push a high volume of calls out through it so that it doesn't get flagged as spam or as a scam, that it shows up with your branding every single time we call your members. And again, I want to highlight Medicare Advantage beneficiaries during peak enrollment periods are receiving 50 calls or texts a day in a lot of cases. So standing out from those, whether they're legitimate outreach or sales calls from another provider, or whether they're one of your vendors trying to reach out to them on your behalf, we want you to stand out and make sure that they're picking up that phone, that they're receiving that text and trusting the information that we're delivering. We're all about improving the member experience. That starts with planned content, answering member questions through live Q&A, and then taking it from there and making sure that we're not only doing those broad answers that help everyone, but the niche answers that are just going to help the members that need it most when we get towards the end of our forum. We always help with event scripting, setup, live production. We manage that from setup all the way through live production and reporting. We're happy to put in the hours that you need. We don't charge extra for that. We just want to make sure that it's going to be a successful live production and that we're delivering the content you need and that whoever you're providing to answer questions for us is comfortable in that format. So we're always happy to do as much training as necessary on our platform to get to that point. I'll highlight that we do broadcast in other languages. Our Spanish simulcast, obviously, our most common simulcast, but we also do Korean and Vietnamese simulcasts. Obviously, for Spanish, Korean, Vietnamese speakers, it's often very difficult to understand plan benefits and processes in a language they're not familiar with. And sometimes, even receiving that information in their language of choice, they still need the same support that an English language speaker would need. We're getting that proactive support out to them, going through plan benefits, answering their questions can help them connect to your plan, their benefits, and to care. Um, we're always going to start with providing key information up front and then get into Q&A later. But I'll also flag here that we have a lot of add-ons like a Zoom integration where we can provide a Zoom webinar integration. We'll do that large dial out to the phone audience, but you can provide the Zoom webinar or a simple HTML5 webcast available through a browser for those more tech savvy members who might want to have another option for accessing the forum. And for those members, you can even do what I'm doing here. You can show a slideshow so that for the members who prefer to just be on the phone, they can just be on the phone listening. For those members who want to see more of a presentation, they can join through that Zoom integration or through a web simulcast. Our focus is always on answering questions. I think that's the best format. It ends up being for the member an experience a lot like talk radio over the phone, where they're hearing questions that we've posed from other members. We're hearing answers to those questions. So those members that might not even know that something's available are hearing questions from members who do and want to hear about that process or about that benefit. And so they're learning in a large group format. There's something of a social element to it. We find that there are members who don't even need support, who will stay on for an entire hour-long forum just because of that social aspect of being in a large-scale forum with other members. We provide as much management as you need. We run polls, we collect data, we can tag members for follow-up, and we do a specific follow-up protocol for each client. And then our operators like having as much information as they can, phone numbers, websites, processes, so that if they get just simple to easy answer questions, they can triage those simple issues of not having the right phone number, not understanding a simple process, not understanding where to find an app. And then we do really detailed event reporting. It includes polling results, every question submitted, every question that was answered and every question that wasn't, any data we collected, and then any transfer details. If we are offering a transfer to your support teams, we can offer up to 2, and it'll show in our reporting whether they transferred and how long they were engaged in that transfer. And then here's some sample reporting from one of our events, about a 26,000 dial out. And you can see that we've got that accepted number. Those are people that answered the call, decided to join and join the live forum and listened through the recorded prompt that we use to welcome them to the call. When we do our dial out, it's facilitated by a live answer prompt so that they're hearing a message that we've recorded explaining why we called and encouraging them to stay on the line and join. If they miss our call, we'll leave a voicemail. That's that machine number right there. And that'll explain why we call. But as long as we're leaving a message, we like to leave a lot of other detailed information as well. Again, onboarding, we're going to say, access your member portal. Here's where you can find plan benefit details. Later in the year, when we're trying to, target specific health outcomes, this is how you can get support for diabetes. This is how you can get support for a heart condition. And we'll often do really niche calls. And then when we get to Q4 saying, expect that ANOC, it's coming soon. We were calling to help you navigate it. If you have any questions or concerns, here's how you can navigate that. The reporting is really detailed, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here, but it really does break down every engagement point, every question submitted, every answer to a poll. So you can use that polling feature to even have members kind of self-select for follow-up or just to learn more about them. And that reporting can all be then imported back into your system so that you have and kind of improving your ongoing understanding of your members on an individual basis. And here is our branded text alert sample. So this is a multimedia text, so an MMS text, and that starts with often just something as simple as a banner image, just so that the member that's receiving it knows that they can trust this message. Again, getting dozens of texts a day, it's important to lead with branding and not use those simple SMS texts that can get lost in the chaos of all the text that they're receiving. In addition to the option to lead with a branded message up, branded banner, you can lead with a short video. That's what I've got here. We call this a Gabby graphic, where it's not even so much a video, it's the branded image that they can click to play and then hear from plan expert or from a doctor, so that they're understanding or so that they can get an understanding from that dynamic content, and then they dive into this unlimited copy, the second half of the MMS, delivered as a .txt file. It can be really unlimited in length. You can deliver it in multiple languages. You're not character limited at all. And we find it's best to deliver these full native links as opposed to an abbreviated link. People don't trust them as often. And so being able to see the branding in the link itself helps them to trust it, click on it, and follow your directions as to how to engage with, again, a member portal, how to download an app. And that is the end of my presentation. So I welcome any questions that anyone may have, but I'm going to turn it over to Bailey first to run a quick poll and see if anybody would like to have a one-on-one demo. All right. And if anybody did respond that they would like a demo, happy to schedule that on a timeline that makes sense for you. We typically do it over Zoom, showcase our platform, showcase our production process, and we can kind of very specifically discuss how we run these events and what we might be able to do for you. To me, every single client is entirely unique because everybody's got their own goals, and their own internal processes, and we like to find someone within your team who's good to feature to represent your plan and be the voice of your plan, or even the voice of a practice, is often the case. So any questions that I can answer, feel free to drop them into the Q&A at this point. And otherwise, happy to reach out with you individually. You can see my email address there if you wanted to reach out independently.